You know, it's gotta be one of the greatest, most enduring, unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. It's a story of incredible bravery, of danger, and of a final, deafening silence that fell over the vast Pacific Ocean. So today, let's dive into the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Okay, picture this. It's July 2nd, 1937. The world's most famous female pilot, Amelia Earhart, and her navigator, Fred Noonan, are more than 20 hours into the most dangerous leg of their round-the-world flight. Their fuel, critically low. This crackling, almost cryptic message is the last thing anyone ever heard from them. She's talking about a line of position, which is basically a navigational bearing, but that's it, no clear location. And just like that, she was gone. The most famous aviator on the planet vanished. The radio went dead. Her attempt to find a tiny 2-mile-long island in the middle of the largest ocean on Earth had failed. The reaction was immediate and absolutely massive. The US government launched what was at the time the largest and most expensive search and rescue operation in history. And you've got to remember, this was during the Great Depression. $4 million were spent combing 250,000 square miles of ocean. And what did they find? Absolutely nothing. Well, the complete lack of answers just threw fuel on the fire of this mystery. For almost 90 years now, researchers, explorers, and governments have been trying to piece together her final moments. So, what really happened? The truth, it seems, depends entirely on which theory you believe. All right, let's start with the official conclusion. This is the simplest, and by far the most widely accepted explanation for what happened. Basically, the US Navy figured that after hours of desperately searching for Holland Island, their plane, the Lockheed Electra, just plain ran out of gas. Earhart would have had to ditch the plane in the ocean, and it would have sunk, probably really fast, taking her and Noonan with it to the bottom of the sea. Now, this is where simple logic kind of crashes into a stubborn lack of evidence. On the one hand, yeah, it's the most straightforward outcome. They were having radio problems, they were low on fuel, and the ocean there is over 3 miles deep. But on the other hand, that massive search started right away. In most crashes, something floats, a sea cushion, an oil slick, something. But in this case, not a thing. And that total lack of wreckage leads us right to our second theory. What if they didn't crash into the open ocean at all? What if they actually landed the plane and survived, at least for a while? So this theory, which has been championed for years by a group called TIGAR, argues that Earhart used that last line of position, that 157/337 bearing, as a new guide. If she flew southeast along that line, she would eventually hit an uninhabited atoll then called Gardner Island, which we now know as Nikomoro. And get this, it had a wide, flat reef, almost perfect for an emergency landing at low tide. And this is why the theory is so compelling. Over decades of expeditions to this remote island, TIGAR has found this trail of really tantalizing clues. Things like fragments of a freckle cream jar, which Earhart was known to use, a pocket knife, evidence of campfires with bird and fish bones, and maybe most intriguing of all, a shoe heel that matches the exact style and size Earhart wore. Now, what about this number? 57. That's how many credible distress signals were reportedly picked up by radio operators in the week after she disappeared. Now think about it. If the plane crashed and sank immediately, who was sending those signals? Proponents of the Castaway theory believe it was Amelia herself, transmitting from the downed Electra on the reef before the tide eventually washed it away. So what we have here is this mountain of circumstantial evidence. You've got artifacts, you've got those radio signals, and then you have bone analysis, and we'll get to that in a minute, all pointing to Nikomoro. But here's the catch. There's no smoking gun. Nothing with her name on it, no serial numbers. And when Robert Ballard, the guy who found the Titanic, searched the waters around the island in 2019, he came up completely empty. So let's move on to our third and by far most explosive theory. This is where the story shifts from a simple disappearance into a full-blown geopolitical conspiracy. The claim here is that Earhart's round-the-world flight was just a cover story, that she was secretly working for President Franklin Roosevelt, using her fame to get close enough to photograph Japanese military buildups in the Pacific. According to this theory, she was either shot down or forced to land in the Japanese-controlled Marshall Islands, where she and Noonan were captured and eventually killed. Now, for one brief, absolutely electrifying moment back in 2017, it really seemed like this wild theory was proven true. A History Channel documentary unveiled what it claimed was honest-to-goodness photographic proof. The documentary presented this photo, which they'd found in the US National Archives, arguing it showed two Caucasian people who looked a whole lot like Earhart and Noonan on a dock in the Marshall Islands. It was a massive media sensation. But just 2 days later, a Japanese military blogger found the exact same photo in a travel book that was published in 1935, a full 2 years before Earhart even disappeared. Just like that, the theory's strongest piece of evidence just crumbled. But even with the photo debunked, the theory just won't die. It's fueled by decades of eyewitness accounts from islanders who swear they saw a white male and female flyer in Japanese custody. But the problems are huge. I mean, the Marshall Islands are 800 miles from her last known position. That's an almost impossible distance to fly given her fuel situation. And of course, no official Japanese records of her capture have ever surfaced. Okay, now let's circle back to what might be the most important and honestly the most tragic piece of evidence ever found in this entire saga. In 1940, a British colonial officer on Nikomaro, yup, the same island from the Castaway theory, made a really grim discovery. Near the remains of what looked like a campfire and a woman's shoe, he found a partial human skeleton. And the journey of this evidence is just heartbreaking. The bones were sent to a doctor in Fiji who, using the methods they had at the time, decided they belonged to a short, stocky male and just dismissed them. But then, in 1998, forensic anthropologists reanalyzed that doctor's original measurements and came to a stunningly different conclusion. The bones were consistent with a tall female of European ancestry, a profile that perfectly matched Amelia Earhart. And the ultimate tragedy? The bones themselves were lost decades ago, so we can never test them with modern DNA analysis. And even more recent developments have only made the mystery deeper. When a whole trove of government files was declassified, they confirmed some interesting details, like how much military help Earhart received. But did they give us a final answer? Nope, no smoking gun, just more layers of complexity to a case that was already baffling. And maybe that's really the point. This quote from a Smithsonian curator just captures this powerful irony. I mean, Amelia Earhart was a trailblazer, a record setter, a global icon, but it was her disappearance that truly cemented her legend. The unresolved story is, in so many ways, more powerful than any triumphant homecoming ever could have been. So today, new technologies are still out there, searching the depths near Halland Island and the waters around Nuku'alofa. We're left with these tantalizing clues, these conflicting theories, and heartbreakingly lost evidence. So why does it still matter? Because it's a reminder that even in our modern world, some mysteries are just built to last, and some questions may never, ever be answered. The search goes on, leaving us all to wonder,